Okay, so in this video we're going to look at how to work out questions where we've got a repeated percentage. And you'll see in this question here, the one we're going to look at, it tells us that a lake containing 500 fish is polluted by a factory. The pollution kills 15% of the fish every week. How many fish will be left after 10 weeks? Now, there are a couple of ways that we can go about doing this. One of them is to convert the percentage 15 over 100 into a decimal, so we get 0.15. And then we do a little subtraction, given that the original amount that we had represents one, in other words, 1 unit of 500 fish. And we're going to subtract away from that the percentage that's lost. That gives us 0.85. Now, to illustrate what that actually means, we're really saying that at the end of the first week we've got 85% of the fish left. Now, another way of looking at this would be just to simply go from the basis that if we've got 15%, then it means we've got 85% left, and we can just convert that straight into a decimal like 0.85. Now, coming back, we're going to have a look at how we solve this problem. After the first week, we could say that there's 500 times 0.85, in other words 85% of 500 left, which would give us 425 fish. After the second week, we'd be starting with 425 fish, of which at the end of the second week there'll only be 85% left, so we multiply by 0.85 to get this 361.25. After the third week, we take the 361.25 fish that we've got at the start of the week, multiply by 0.85, so we're finding 85% of this number, and that gives us 307.0625. Now, we are actually looking at 10 weeks here, so we'd need to repeat this process 10 times. Imagine how much work we would have if the question had asked us to work out how many fish were left after a year, 52 weeks. Surely there's a quicker way of doing this. Well, in actual fact there is. What we can do is look at the fact that we're actually multiplying by 0.85 3 times for these first 3 weeks. So let's get that in perspective. 500 times 0.85, that's what we're doing here, and that gives us 425. So this is really 425 here. And then we multiply that by 0.85 to get 361.25. So up to here we now have 361.25. And then finally we multiply by the final 0.85 to get our 307.0625. Now, is there a quicker way of doing this? Yes, there is. We do this. Now, this is using a little bit of mathematical symbols in order to simplify the problem. This number here, the 3, is what we call an index. And the 3 tells us that we have 3 0.85s multiplying against each other. So that's what this means. 0.85 to the power of 3, or to the index of 3, is 0.85 times 0.85 times 0.85. And that would give us this answer here. Can you imagine what it might be for the 10 weeks then? How would we write this out? Exactly like that. 500 times 0.85 to the power of 10. And if you do that in your calculator, you'll find that you get 98.437, which of course is 98 fish if we round it to the nearest whole fish. Just to remind you again that what this actually means here is 0.85 multiplied by itself 10 times. Now, in case you're wondering how we do this on the calculator, we would actually type in 500 on the calculator, then multiply by 0.85, and then we'd press this button here and type in 10, and then finally press the equals, and that would give us the answer. Now, this is a fairly standard calculator. Most people tend to have this calculator here. It's a very good calculator. I don't work for Casio, I'm not actually advertising for them, but it is a very easy calculator to use. On your calculator you might have a different button for the x to the power or x to an index, so you would have to look at your manual and find out which button it is you have to press. Then it will probably work through exactly the same way as we've just done with this calculator. Okay, thanks for listening.